Please close your eyes. Let us remember God and the Masters and offer our prayers. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May we enjoy food together. May we meditate and pray together. May we attain wisdom through our study and discussion. May there be no conflict among us. May there be peace within and everywhere. Om. Amen. I humbly bow to one God who is omnipresent. I bow to all the saints and sages of all times and places. I bow to the lineage of Kriya Yoga masters. I bow to each one of you, feeling presence of God within you all. Good evening and welcome to our series of lecture on test of character. Happy Makar Sankranti. Today is the auspicious day when sun has entered the northern hemisphere. This day is important because as we practice Kriya, we know that our fontanelle is the North Pole and the bottom center is South Pole. So this day indicates our journey from southern to northern hemisphere. That means journey of spiritual life. As the external sun is going from south to north side, so also our consciousness should move towards the northern hemisphere, means time to intensify our practice. As we have been discussing this topic, in our previous class, we discussed about anger. How to know that we are progressing in our spiritual life. It shows or it is indicated by our character. Do we have strong character or we are weak? So previous class we discussed first test. First point was, are you losing your temper easily? So do you lose your temper easily? If answer is yes, then you have to work on that. How to work we discussed in the last class. Practicing deep breathing technique, leaving the place immediately, watching the breath, and also practicing Khechari Mudra when we know Kriya practice. Now we'll come to the next point to know our character. So second point is about the very common nature of human being. So second point is, are you inclined to be argumentative? Just think about it. Don't need to answer. Are you inclined to be argumentative? No matter whether we are living in family or in our professional life, when we live with people, it is natural to have some difference of opinions. No two minds can think in same way each one's mind is different. Why? Because we all carry our past samskaras, impressions from the previous lives, and we are at different level. That is why our minds are at different level. We think differently, and when we think differently, there are always possibilities of having some difference of opinion leading to conflict. But do we argue with people? Disagreements and outright arguments are part of the territory of close relationships, because nothing destroys a relationship faster than the hurtful things people say to each other in a bitter argument. Suppose you slander other devout persons out of hatred when your views do not meet other person. Guruji says, we are very good lawyers for our mistakes and very good judge for the mistake of others. Isn't it true that for ourselves, we want to be pardoned, we want to be forgiven, but for others, immediately we judge for punishment. And very often we land up in argument. I remember a story. Once, the donkey said to the tiger, what did he say? The grass is blue. And tiger said, no, grass is green. Then the discussion between the two became intense. Both of them are firm in their own words. To end this controversy, both went to lion, the king of jungle. In the middle of the animal kingdom, sitting on the throne was a lion. The donkey started yelling about the tiger. Before tiger could say anything, the donkey started yelling, Your Highness, the grass is blue, isn't it? Lion said, yes, the grass is blue. Donkey, this tiger does not believe. Donkey said, this tiger doesn't believe. It annoys me and he should be punished properly. So the king declared, tiger will be jailed for a year. King's verdict was heard by donkey and he was jumping in joy in entire jungle. The tiger was sentenced to 1 year jail. The tiger went to the lion and asked, why, Your Highness, grass is green, isn't it? Lion said, yes, grass is green. Then tiger said, then why I am sentenced to jail? Lion said, you did not get punished for the grass being blue or green. You have been punished for debating with that stupid donkey. Brave and intelligent creatures like you have argued with a donkey and have come here to get a decision. If you are right, then there is no need to justify or argue. If you are wrong, then you need to introspect and rectify your mistake. Now think about this story. Don't we behave like that donkey sometimes? And when we are not able to prove our point, we start arguments with people. Arguments do not lead us to any decision. That's why there are some beautiful sayings about the arguments. The philosopher Plato said, wise men speak because they have something to say, but fools, because they have to say something, they speak. See, it's a difference. Wise men speak because they have something to say, but fools say because they have to say something. So let's see in which category we are. Another beautiful quote is, wise men argue causes. Suppose something has happened, so they always argue about the cause. What is the cause, so that we can resolve the issue? But fools decide them. Fools, they continue arguments and they decide, they make decisions, they don't go to the solution part. However, so this is the quote about the arguments. We should not we should not go into arguments. Most of the time, people talk and act from their own viewpoint. They seldom see or even try to see the other person's side. If lacking understanding, you enter into a fight with someone, remember that each one of you is as much to blame as other, regardless of which one started the argument. That's why it is said, fools argue, wise men discuss. So we are wise people, we practice Kriya, we are meditators, we should never argue. Listen to others' viewpoint. If we disagree, we can tell them in a nice way, but there is no need to be in conflict. And always remember, wise men discuss. They don't argue, they discuss how to resolve the issue. If you read Manusmriti, there's a beautiful verse from Manusmriti about not to argue with some people. Who are these people? This is the verse from Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, in chapter 249, verse number 14 and 15. Same verse you can find in Manusmriti, the law book of Manu, in the 4th chapter, verse number 179 and 180. It tells Ritvik Acharya, Ritvik Purohita Acharyaihi Matula Atithi Sanshritaihi Balavradhatu Revair Balavradhatuhu Evehi Evedhei Gyati Sambandhi Bandhavaihi Matra Pitrabhya Yamibhi Bhratra Putrena Bharyaya Duhitra Dasavargena Vivadam Na Samacharet. This verse tells that there's a list of 15 people with whom we should never argue. Who are these 15? So translation is, with an officiating or domestic priest. Suppose you go to church, you go to temple, you have a priest, or a priest who comes to your house and performs some ritualistic worship. So Purohita or Ritvik, officiating or domestic priest. Then Acharya. Acharya here means teacher or your guru also. Then Matula. Matula means maternal uncle. Atithi, guest. And Sanshritaihi, one who is dependent. Then Bala. Bala means infants or baby or little children. Vradha. Vradha means aged or elderly people. Then sick men, sick people. With learned men, with paternal relatives, connections by marriage and the maternal relatives. So in all, you can say that all family members. Then other, it is said, Matra Pitrabhya, with your own father and mother. Then Yamibhi Bhratra, the female relatives like daughter-in-law, with a brother's son and his wife, with his daughter and with his slaves. Slave instead of slave, we can say with the servant, because we have domestic help. So even with them, one should not have arguments or quarrel. Why should we not argue with these people? So there is a valid reason. So we'll take one by one. So this list of 15, who is the first one? First one is Brahmin, Ritvik or Purohit. So Ritvik is Brahmin, one who performs the fire ceremony or ritualistic worship, like in the temple or church. So he is performing these rituals for the benefit of the people. So this man, the Brahmins, priest, should always be respected. Even if he commits a mistake, suppose mistake in chanting, mistake in something in ritualistic worship, it should be ignored rather than getting into an argument, or it will only tarnish your image. Because the priest is always respected and they do everything for the benefit of the society, benefit of the people with serving attitude. They don't have their personal agenda for that. So we should always pay respect, but never argue with them. Look, if there is something we can tell politely or we can tell that this is not right, but arguments is not good for with them. The second one is priest, Purohita. Who is Purohita? Again, those who come to your house and do some ritualistic worship or perform some religious rites for you, suppose marriage ceremony. So if you conduct, if somebody is coming and conducting marriage ceremony, he is Purohita. So Purohita, you should not argue. Sometimes it happens that when I conduct Vedic marriage ceremonies, sometimes people start arguing. No, no, this should be done like this. So it happens. So these people means Purohit or priest who comes to your house or performs religious rites for you, functions for you, one should not argue with him. Otherwise, your work can be ruined. And why do they come? Suppose a person comes to your house and performs fire ceremony. So it purifies your house. And if you don't like anything, we can tell in a nice way. But unnecessary going into argument means breaking the peace. However, third in this list is Acharya or teacher. So according to Manusmriti, one should never argue with a teacher. Even if they punish you, their ultimate aim is your betterment. Getting into an argument with them can affect your future. So it comes, the categories Guru, Acharya, teacher. Still, you should respect them. And you can present your view in a nice way if you don't agree with them. Then it is said Matula, maternal uncle. So not to argue with them because they also take care of you. Then fourth in the list is guest. Who is guest? So if you see in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a mantra, Atithi Devo Bhavaha. Guest is God. But who is the guest? Guest is not that person who calls you and tells that at this time I will visit your house. Guest is one who comes without any information to your house. In the West, it is not possible. So Atithi, because the Sanskrit word is Atithi. A means without and Tithi means date. So one who is coming to your house, visiting your house without information is known as guest. And usually, how did we treat our guest in Vedic culture? Any guest coming to our house, we offer our best, like whatever food we have, we share with them. Whatever accommodation we have, we share with them. And we consider them as guests. And still in India, a lot of families, they follow this tradition. So Atithi Devo Bhava, we should respect because we consider the guest as God. So with guest also, we should not argue. One should be always nice to guests, even if they are complete strangers. Arguing with guests can hamper your social image. The next in the list is mother. Here we need to be really considerate. We are indebted to our mother and father. How many sleepless nights they have spent for us when we were sick? The first teacher to everyone is their mother. When she commits a mistake or is in her old age, she should be honored always. I have seen in many families that the children, they don't go along with the mother. They always fight, argue. They forget that They are part of their own body. In the old age also, I saw that children, they don't respect, even they argue for little mistakes or little things. And it is very natural when we become old, our behavior becomes similar to our childhood. And when we are old, then naturally our sense organs are weak. We are not able to do many chores which we could do easily. And it creates frustration in the new generation. But we need to understand that mother is also God. Matra Devo Bhava, Taittiriya Upanishad said, Pitra Devo Bhava, father is God. So we should never argue with mother. Never get into an argument with mother. It will hurt her. Moreover, she has been given the place of God, and therefore people who argue with their mothers or insult them, they go to their downfall. Because mother is the first guru who has taught you the words, who has given you this training of speaking. It is your mother who taught us everything. Other times, I had discussed this topic in a retreat. We are indebted to five: to God, to mother, to rishis, our saints and sages, to father, to ecology, and to all the bhutas and the society. When we argue with mother, we mentally and emotionally, we are bothering her and creating trouble. And remember, in our culture, we worship divine mother. So all the mothers are the form of divine mother. The next in this list is father. It is our father who raised us, and that is why he should never be disrespected. Arguing with your father will not only hurt him, but also bring sufferings in your life. You know why I'm telling? Because in Vedic astrology, when we see people are suffering for various reasons, not getting success, there is no peace in the family. And when we look at the horoscope, we find there is one defect called Pitra dosha. Why? Because when we insult, when we ignore our duties towards the parents, especially father, then we suffer because of their unhappiness in other worlds. However, we should not argue with father. We should always respect, because father is also God, Pitra Devo Bhava. And let me tell you honestly, today I am sitting and talking with you all. It is because of my parents' blessings. Blessings of God, blessings of gurus, and at the same time, it is the blessings of my parents. I'm at this place and I'm in this spiritual life. I'm indebted to them. So never argue with your mother and father. Next in the list is your brother. Whether older or younger brother, he's the one who always protects you all your life and stands by you in your need. It is a crime arguing with your own brother. So always be loving, but don't fight, don't argue with your own brother. Also, it is said the next, sister. So Indian culture understands sisters to be like daughters, because sister brings happiness in everyone's life, and therefore insulting the sister is very bad. And you might have this experience that with your own brother, you may not be so open, but your sister is just like your own friend, and she takes care of you just like your own mother. So never argue with your own sister. Then comes our relatives. Relatives means whoever is close in our close relation, whether you are close to them or not, you should never forget that the relatives must have played some role in your life for your good. You know, it has both meanings. Many times relatives, they criticize you, they put some obstacles on your path. So it is for your good because it increases our strength. So if they are doing something not right, even if we are indebted, because we should be thankful because they help us to grow. So not to fight or not to argue with your relatives. One should therefore never argue with his relatives, and if still a situation arises, it should be sorted out. Then 10th in this list is your son. Son is believed to be the new life of his own father. It is said that father is reborn through the son. So it is the son only who provides moksha or liberation to his father. According to a belief in Hindu society, if a person does not have son, will not be liberated, because son only has the right to perform after death rituals. We call it Shraddha. And there's a verse, there's a mantra which tells that son, who helps the father to be free from downfall and be liberated. So the role of son is also important. Keeping this in mind, we should not get into argument with our own son. Apart from son, next one is daughter. Now, Indian society understands daughters as symbol of goddess Lakshmi. Whenever there's birth of a girl in the family, we always say that Graha Lakshmi has come. So goddess Lakshmi means goddess of prosperity. So whenever we have a daughter, so it is a symbol of goddess Lakshmi in our family. Obviously, no one argues with a goddess, and therefore one should never hurt anybody's daughter and argue with her. Now comes the next one. Next one is your own wife. So you can argue with others, wife of other people, but with your own wife, don't argue. The roles of wife are many. If you see a housewife, she has multiple roles to play. And very often her duties and responsibilities are higher, but still they are ignored. Wife is a daughter, a sister, wife, and mother. So you can see how many roles she has to play. And apart from this, there are many more, but at least these four are important. She plays the role of daughter, sister, wife, and mother. So woman who plays so many roles in just one lifetime should never be argued with. Besides, her sacrifices and adjustments in life should never be ignored. And wife is known as better half. In Sanskrit, we call Ardhangini. Ardha means half, Angini means part of your body. So she is your better half. When she is your better half, how can you argue with her? So don't argue with your wife. There may be difference of opinion. So as I said, that sit down with love, resolve the issue with discussion instead of arguing. Next, 13th in this list is daughter-in-law. Even if she is not your own daughter, she is a woman. Daughter-in-law should never be insulted. Why? Because she leaves her own house and she has joined your house to make it more prosperous. So she is your daughter-in-law. She should be always respected, but don't argue with her. Then number 14 is your son-in-law. Now this man not only takes care of your daughter, but also holds responsibility of her parents. So arguing with him can cause trouble in your daughter's marital life. And in Indian families, son-in-law is paid a lot of respect. There is a saying that as we have 9 planets in Vedic astrology. So sometimes people say that son-in-law is the 10th planet. So when it comes, then you have to be really careful. You have to pay more respect, otherwise you will be in trouble. However, don't argue with son-in-law because he is taking care of your daughter. Then the last in this list is your servant, your domestic help. A person who is serving you day and night knows a lot about your traits and personal life. Remember, sometimes your wife or husband may not know everything, but your servant knows more than that. So arguing with them can disclose your life in public. And if you think that servant, they serve wholeheartedly, although you can pay for that, but still they are serving you. Don't argue with them, because if you argue with them, then definitely they might create trouble for you. So these are the 15 people in the list with whom we should not argue with. Now you'll say that this list is complete list. It has covered everything. I think it doesn't cover one thing, which is very common, and that is mother-in-law. So with your mother-in-law, you can argue. It is just a joke. Don't take it seriously. Not to argue with anybody. This is the message. I'll tell you another some beautiful quotes about argument. You may dispute with what others say, but respect their right to express their views. You can always say no politely. If you don't like something, you can say no, but don't dispute, don't argue with them, because everybody has a right to express their views. Another beautiful quote. This is Paramahansa Yoganandaji also has referred to this quote. Small minds discuss people. Just think that what do we discuss in our day-to-day life? Small minds discuss people, and you will find most of the time we discuss about the people. This person, that person did it. Even in politics, this person is doing this. So we discuss more about people only. So that means we have a small mind. Average minds discuss events. So those who are having little better mind, average mind, so they discuss about the events, what happened here, what happened there. But the great minds discuss ideas. If you meet some great personalities or very successful people, you'll not find them discussing about the ordinary events, day-to-day life, or even about the people. They discuss ideas, that how we can make this world a better world, how we can improve our life, how we can improve the condition of other people in the society. So they always think about the ideas, and it leads to solution. So if you're discussing about people, if you're discussing about the events, that this happened in my life, at that time this thing could have happened. So this is average mind. So if you want to have a great mind, that means a spiritual person, then you must focus on the ideas to bring betterment, instead of wasting your energy in discussing people and events. That's not going to give us more success or peace of mind. So not to argue. This is the second point. This is the flaw in our character if we are argumentative. Now let's come to the third point to check how strong we are in our character. Third point is, this is also interesting. Do you like to eavesdrop? Do you like to eavesdrop? Sometimes you'll find the children do, that they hear what others are telling. They try to hear what parents are discussing. But this habit is not a good habit, because if you develop this habit, you'll be in trouble. And even in the offices, it happens. At the office or workplaces, you can find there are some characters like this, that they always try to put their nose in others' affair. So they try to listen what others are telling, what others are speaking about them, or even others. They like to listen to the private talk of other people. So this is not a good habit. So this is eavesdropping. It means, what is eavesdropping? It means to listen secretly to what is said in private. It is considered as a bad habit. Some people enjoy this habit. They want to know more about the people, what is not told knowingly. There is no need to know everything. Something people just keep with themselves, some private discussion. There is no need. Sometimes I had come across this habit with some people, like from the West, when people come visit India. And suppose one person is going to doctor's cabin and discussing about some problem, health issues. Then somebody from outside is listening. Is there any need? Why do you want to know? The more you know, the more you will be in trouble, and you will create trouble for others, because you are polluting your mind in many ways. However, so eavesdropping is not good habit. Now question comes that if we have this kind of habit, that knowingly or unknowingly we just like to listen to other people's private conversation, or we want to know more, then how to be free from this habit? Because this is not good habit. So how to be free from this habit? There are some points which might help us. If you have this habit, just think of how you would feel. Suppose you don't want to disclose something, and somebody knows about it, and then it tells it to other people. How would you feel about you? Second is, recognize that eavesdropping is not a little fault. It's a big mistake. Then understand that eavesdropping can be dangerous. And fourth point, understand the legal implications. Sometimes you may be in trouble. And last is, ask yourself, if you really need to know the information, you would overhear. Let me elaborate a little bit more about it. First is that, think of how you would feel. Imagine you have some sensitive issue you need to discuss with someone, and it happens in everybody's life. Now you find a trusted person, and this trusted person can be a parent, a teacher, a best friend, or a therapist. Then you muster your courage and tell this person your situation. Now imagine that someone who has no respect for your situation or your privacy comes listening in for their personal amusement. How would you feel about that? Once it happened that somebody told me about a person that this has happened. And as a trusted person, so I just wanted to rectify the mistake. So I told this person that somebody is telling about you. So these are the things we need to rectify. So it was between us for rectification. Now what happened for correction? This person whom I trusted contacted the other person. How could you tell this? Now you can imagine that, will that person who had told me in the first place would ever trust me? So you should feel that how others feel, how you feel. So you should also know that others may not like it. So there is no need to overhear or eavesdrop. The second thing, recognize that eavesdropping is not a little fault. Eavesdropping on a private conversation is not something that is slightly out of line. The feelings that an eavesdropped person often feels are that of trespass, betrayal, breach of trust and confidentiality, even hurt and humiliation. These are the feelings when somebody comes through such a situation that a person has eavesdropped, and disclose the information. However, these feelings are difficult to dispel even with an apology, let alone the eavesdrop person being able to willing or laugh them off. On a moral scale, eavesdropping is about on the same level as following a person everywhere they go and looking at them. It's like spying. Third is to remember, understand that eavesdropping can be dangerous. The feelings that an eavesdropped person often feels are of trespasses, betrayal, as I said, and it can be dangerous because it spoils relationship. We need to understand the legal implication also. In some situations, eavesdropping can not only be unethical but also illegal. This is often true if an auditory or recording device is used to eavesdrop, in which case it is called bugging, and you can go to jail for it. Eavesdropping with the ear alone is not generally considered illegal, but it is unethical, seriously wrong, and the damage is still the same. Fifth point to consider, ask yourself, if you really need to know the information you would overhear, just what good does it do to you to know another person's private life or information? Apart from gratification or amusement, which you have no business feeling, probably none. It is just for your own entertainment or amusement. You want to know more about the people, there is no need. And how does it harm you to not know another person's private life or information? You may be left feeling like you don't know everything, but nobody knows everything anyway. Nor can anybody know everything. So there is no harm done. Some things are unknown because they are meant to be that way. So don't feel bad about it. So please don't develop this habit of eavesdrop, because each person needs some private space. Each person has some problem. There's no need to know everything and then disclose it to everybody. So this is the third point we discussed, and we'll continue our discussion with other points of checking our character in the next class. Now it's time for our meditation. Please keep your spine straight. Close the eyes. In the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, Samam Kayam Shiro Grivam Dharayan Achalam Sthiram Samprekshya Nasikagram Swam Dishascha Anavalokayan. Keeping the head, trunk, neck, and the spine in a straight line, so that the flow of our pranic energy is unbroken and smooth. Without looking into any other direction, let us focus in between the eyebrows, the soul center. Bring your attention to the spine. Feel completely relaxed. Let us begin with observing our breath. Initially, try to watch the physical or gross breath moving from the nostrils up to the lungs, and you may feel gentle friction in this passage. Now take your attention to the subtle breath, which is aligned with the gross breath. Just the focus is inside the spine, from top of the head to bottom of the spine. Watch. Every breath is presence of divine. Very gentle movement up and down. Your concentration level is more increased. You are becoming more calm. One breath is one life. Take a slow, long, deep inhalation. Holding the breath, bend forward. Exhale, normal breath. All the pranic energy rushing from bottom to the top towards the brain. Normal breath, but conscious. This is the symbol of surrender. O God, I am your child. Please inhale, holding the breath very gently. Sit upright. Exhale, breathe normally. Your thoughts are more settled. You're more introvert. Let us practice some deep breathing. As per your capacity, practice slow, long, and deeper breath. In each inhalation, let us feel more love. With exhalation, let us experience peace and bliss. From bottom to top, please inhale love, exhale peace, inhale love, exhale peace, inhale love, exhale peace, inhale peace, exhale love, inhale peace, exhale love, inhale peace, exhale love, inhale love, exhale peace, inhale love, exhale peace, inhale love, exhale peace, normal conscious breath. The body is completely steady. Breath is very feeble. Remain inside the inner space of your cranium. Silently meditate. extreme calmness, a blissful state, feeling of oneness with the divine. Bring your attention in between the eyebrows. Maintain this peace and calmness in all your activities, and love God in every breath. Praying to God and Masters for your peace and prosperity. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all become happy and healthy. May everyone be loving, noble, and generous. May there be no suffering or sorrow. May there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and in this entire creation. Om. Amen. Gently open the eyes. Thank you all. And once again, happy Makar Sankranti, happy Pongal, happy Lohri. I'll see you tomorrow early morning for the talk for International Kriya Yoga Seminar from Pragyana Mission, Balighai Puri. And then next Thursday. Till then, meditate nicely, be happy, be healthy. Thank you all.